art career.
Oh, wow. Jeez. I was hoping we would open it up to something more interesting than Universal. But
I mean, you can go anywhere you want. I mean, we could talk about the beard. We could talk about the kilt. We could talk about just the general, like, transported
my man
Vikingitude.
skirt and facial proof that I have testosterone. Sure.
I mean, honestly, when I think of you, all I think about you is you jumping off a boat, swinging a sword to kind of pillage my village.
See, that was yesteryear, though.
I haven't pillaged in years.
I'm trying to be a kinder, gentler
Viking.
A more inclusive, more evolved Viking.
Kind of a softer, more 21st,
more interesting, more creative.
You're a metrosexual Viking.
Yeah. Metrosexual Viking, is that nice?
It is,
nice.
Yes.
Yeah. More inclusive. More a loving Viking.
A loving Viking.
Yeah,
well, Vikings were loving. They just showed their love in somewhat more aggressive ways and to multiple women in the village.
Yeah, I think historically the definition of love has definitely changed.
It's true.
Making their comeback.
Boy, 3 things. God, buddy. I like why. What's that?
I'll move the mic a little bit more in front of your mouth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Unidirectional.
I need mic tutoring. Maybe we could talk about where art fits in the design process. That's an interesting.
I like that a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
And I can think of like weird questions like, is art necessary? Is art vital? Is art, and on my end, I always think yes, but I think there's the practical Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard sell for practical Midwest people to.
It is. You're right. I mean, if you can't hoe a field with it, what the fuck's the point?
Exactly. If it does not keep you warm, if you can't drink it,
let's do a little.
If you can't, I don't know live if I'm able to say that. If you can't conjugate with it.
Have you seen the art behind me or behind you? And
yeah.
Again, conjugate is a very loose term.
It's a very loose term here.
Some would argue that that's what art is for. So I don't know.
It should.
Anything. I guess we can talk about me and what I do if you want. I like bigger subjects, about art, but like I respond really well to questions. Like I can answer things very well, better than I can. Like if you open it up for everything, for a guy, so ADHD super demon sitting in front of you, we'll talk about the universe and then maybe get it down to the solar system.
Fair enough. Well, I like talking about the universe. I mean, yes. All right. You know what? I have no fears. I think this is going to go great. And you guys, of course, are close, so you can throw in some additional stuff. I would say, so Johnson, our total recording time should be about how long?
So for the podcast version, I think we could go pretty much a straight up hour.
Okay.
For the actual content of the radio, that'll be closer to like 45 minutes.
And you're going to be able to figure out where to cut throughout.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we'll have.
What I'll probably do is cut out like 15 minutes of conversation. That'd be my plan.
Okay.
Pick one part in there and then.
So all the beeps, all of the beeps.
All
the
if you
beeps.
swear enough,
We'll only
maybe
have
it'll save
15
enough
minutes of
time.
content.
15
worth of
minutes.
swearing, yeah.
And then the Flarn and we're never having that Flarn
You're coming back as the coctologist soon.
Good.
Excellent.
That I could do. Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah. I would love to do that.
All right. So again, within moving into the coctology level and all that other stuff is going to be loose. Normally it's very structured the way I
Sure.
do this. If you've ever heard the podcast. So I'm going to try to do it a little more
I appreciate
fluidly.
that. I tell you what, loose fits me.
Excellent.
Loose fits me well.
You guys want to try?
Loose and flowy.
Want to try going on it? 60 minutes.
I'm a tiny bit nervous, but I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I just had to triple check my recipe because I
I don't even remember what I
was
told you our
thinking.
3 subjects were going to be.
That's okay. I pretty much think I got it.
Greg is he's like
No, I can
a
tell.
sail. He'll just
I'm
take
not
it.
kidding.
He'll
So
just cruise it on
his
home.
autopilot is probably better than most people's and
Well, when you learn to make your way through life partially inebriated at all times, it becomes second nature.
Even at the birth of your own children.
I was so proud. I had it set up. I had the shaker right there, and the nurse comes in. And I thought she was going to give me a hard time, and she's just like, "That is so cool." And then we spent some time talking, and we got to be relatively good friends because alcohol always makes you slightly, closer to anyone with just its presence. And she got to know me so well that when Sophia was born, and she came out, the nurse holds the baby up, Sophia up, and the doctor goes to hand me the snips to snip the umbilical cord, and she actually stops him and goes, "He's not that kind of dad."
Oh my God. That's fantastic.
Thank you very much. I mean, I may have had a cocktail in my hand at the time, quite honestly.
Like, now I'll just have my martini and
Sophia,
watch,
welcome to the
thanks.
world. Are we done?
Drinks to be had.
His participation will be on a different level.
I will say my wife did have a drink pretty much immediately thereafter, and we did stop for cocktails on the way home. Literally from the delivery center at Sydney's over on 7. And we had no idea what to do with the baby. We're like, do we put it on a chair? Do we put it on the table? Do we put it on the floor? What the fuck do you do?
Wait, your wife who just gave birth was like, let's go get a cocktail?
Yes.
Wow, that was good.
I mean, I'm not a parent, but like, aren't you like not supposed to do that if you're breastfeeding?
We didn't breastfeed.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, then,
She didn't drink
There you
during the
go.
pregnancy, which,
Right.
is cool.
Right.
But as soon as it was done,
boom.
hand me a
Kid,
cocktail.
you're out. Give me a cocktail.
Exactly.
Never met her, like her already.
You would love her. At some point, you'll meet her.
Yeah.
I just remember thinking, they're going to let us go?
But
With a baby?
Oh, you with this like baby in your hand? Yeah.
I just picture you
That was
walking out holding it by its feet.
No, no instruction manual.
Where's the book?
Hear you. Yeah, no, there's
Yeah, just
absolutely
getting
nothing.
the silly click in the child seat.
Huh?
That was a nightmare. Just
It always
figuring
was.
that out, I was like, oh
Mhm.
God, this dad thing, I don't know, man. But,
I know. It's madness.
They
It's
made it
madness.
home.
There should be some more information beyond like just, Lamaze or whatever the fuck it is. Not that she did that, I think. All right. Are we prepared?
We are ready. I'll even get you a little music for you here too.
Nice.
Get you a little of the music.
La
for,
música bonita.
I have absolutely no notes. The other thing I want to, the guy that John, who is the podcast guy who I met, who came in,
Yeah.
he sent me a very nice email, very detailed. He had listened to several of the pods and he made some great observations. And one of the points, though, that he did make was
You drink too much?
no, he was totally happy with the drinking. He did a shot with me when he came into the building, of course. But was to be more mindful, or to be mindful of people's time, reduce the kind of floating chatter and try to make it a little more mindful of the fact that people could be doing something else. So
Content
almost
heavy.
everything should be relevant, which is hard because we talk about the autopilot, and the autopilot is often just that kind of vacuous fuckery.
But it is pretty funny.
Oh, thank you.
But I guess I wonder, if you think about your audience and the nature of the show, there's a whole entertainment factor that goes along with the
Oh yes,
jabber, so to speak.
it's
So I
It's
gotta
a fine
say,
line, I suppose.
I'm pretty ADHD. I found every one of them pretty listenable.
really.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
fabulous. All right.
there was dry content, and then you were like, you like lit it on fire. So it
Yeah.
was, so I
Thank
did.
you,
I
brother.
did. I was like, what do I do? And I knew ahead of time. Well, how do I study? Well, I could listen to the content. I could listen to the podcast. I could listen to, and so I have to say, I mean, it was not quite as funny as the political commentary when you guys were hammered on it.
Booze in the
Oh,
News was so good.
God.
We
But-
got to bring back
That'll
Booze
go
in the
down in the history
News,
books.
right?
I was creating art
It's
as I
gonna
did that.
happen. And you should, I mean, I adore you. You know that we're great together on the radio. Our voices blend beautifully. Our repartee is good.
Yeah.
So yes,
So Booze in the News is what you're telling me, Greg.
we need to do a couple of pilot shows for Booze in the News, and I'm going to actively make an effort to see if we can get it kind of picked up on something. Do you think? And
Yeah.
here is the deal. I also, oh wait, what was the concept I had with Booze in the News?
Does mean I actually have to read the news again?
I know, right?
Ugh.
We're definitely going to
Fine.
create a little more structure. It's very much like what you were talking about. When we made it ask anything, no one can come up with ideas.
Sure.
If we
Right.
have it within parameters and discussion points, I think it would be more interesting.
Limitations can be a blessing.
This
Like
is true,
that.
but I'm really not good with rules.
No, that's okay. You can break them.
Agreed.
If you're in charge,
That's what
everyone
they're
else is
there for,
following them, and
my
you're like,
friend.
we're breaking this one. That's what a leader does.
Yes.
Well,
Well, yeah. You go break that rule for me. All right. Are you ready? We have, so it's 10 after. We're going to try to wrap this up at 10-2. Oh, I don't even have a quote. I should have come up with a quote. Fuck. Okay. Shit. Hold on. Let me think of a quote. Oh, yes, unquestionably. I mean, I have a lot of quotes. Why are none coming to mind right now? Bethany, give me a subject.
Red wine.
Oh, we'll just go with the old in vino veritas,
Okay.
and that is why I don't trust people who don't drink. It's true.
in drink is truth. Is that
In
what
wine
this
is truth.
nice?
Uh-huh. That's ancient Latin and
Wow.
right. Not bad, huh?
But the thing, so that's my favorite kind. The thing is it's a little dark, but that's almost like stand-up comedy. It's funny because it's true.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So yeah,
Amen.
that's yes.
Amen.
Excellent.
All right.
I
like
did
it.
not know where that was going to go, and color me impressed.
I landed it well. Okay.
Yes.
Outstanding. This is why I adore you, my brother. By the way, kudos on your Christmas card. It's fabulous. Thank you.
Oh,
Oh.
yes, they were beautiful.
Oh, ha.
Yeah.
You know what? So know what that was?
What's that?
That was me following orders from this woman's
What?
content on and she said if
Sure.
yep about your clients, and so I was listening. I've been tuning into her podcasts, and I'm pretty good at following the orders. So I made these new cards that had my art on them, and they're much more fun to send out to people than they are to try to sell. So, you know, they're
It's brilliant. No. Hey, look, I got one right behind my desk. You took over the frame that I had been using for one of my children. Sorry.
I love
Sorry,
you, Dad.
Sophia. I've been looking at it for 20
You're
years.
my
The,
new-
uh,
you're my
card is
new
new.
dad.
But
What?
he loves Matthew more right now.
Oh, sometimes. Just come and suckle at my teat, Mister.
So that was literally I just wanted to follow up. We had a really nice time at your what was it, a holiday thing that we were at? What was it, a holiday party that you
I don't.
so I don't
Which one was it? Do you recall?
Your holiday shindig.
It was
Yes.
the holiday shindig.
Yeah.
and Bethany invited me as a +1, and I was like, oh, you're okay, this will be great. So we came, and it was lovely. It was
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you.
And you greeted me with a hug, and I'm like, I'm home.
Ah.
So that was, you know, I mean, a warm welcome does everything to soothe every anxiety. I mean, I can't believe what a warm Welcome does. And so
Thank
I
you,
just
dude.
wanted to say thank you. And she gave me the orders on how to do it. And so I did.
You're fabulous.
Yeah.
You're fabulous. Well,
Wow.
that's awesome. And we all need a Bethany. We all need Bethany herself, actually, because you're fabulous.
I think
Well,
she
thank
you.
probably
I
got
do
her
what I
shit
can.
Together. I think she does. I think she does.
So we're
I think
still
she's
doing
put
Arrived is the podcast.
Arrived daily.
Arrived Daily.
Yes, second podcast. Arrived will be back sometime in Q1
Okay.
of 2023.
Okay.
It's going to move more to a guest interview format only. And Arrived Daily, which just dropped on the 12th of December, is week daily, Monday to Friday, short episodes, 20 minutes or less,
Okay.
all about how to find your voice as a podcaster.
I love it. All right. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And then forgive me, is it Holmes or Home?
Holm, HOLM.
Okay. Thank you, Holmes. Sorry.
Yes.
This is the,
But you know what?
the Sherlock.
Every single nickname that I've had, growing up was Holmes, Homeboy,
Homie.
Oh, of course.
Mhm.
every
Yeah.
single
Mhm.
one.
Mhm.
So
You should sign your art, Homie. You shouldn't.
No, no, I'm not kidding. With a long name, Matthew Gallagher, Gregory Holm.
Oh, I never asked what the GG was.
Yes.
Oh, now I know.
It
Interesting.
isn't gorgeous guy. It is not.
I'd
I mean,
always thought
not
it was
that it
like
couldn't
great
be.
gonads, but
Yeah,
whatever.
yes. Great gonads. We could. Okay, that could be one of our subjects. We just. What does GG mean?
We're here to discuss gonads with Matthew G.G. Holm. All right, we should start because you got to be out, right?
All right, ready? Here we go. Music's gonna play.
It's a great intro.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Drink in the Style. I'm your host, Gregory Rich. I'm going to help you kill your Saturday, Sunday, or God knows what evening with a little bit of drink and conversation. Welcome. Tonight's subject, it's going to be art. It's going to be art and perhaps the world's first metrosexual Viking. I have, ladies and gentlemen, a fantastic guest, one of my most adored individuals that I love. Minneapolis-based, wonderfully talented, insanely creative artist Matthew G.G. Holm is with us. Matthew, how are you?
I'm great. I'm doing well, and I am. I was unprepared for the humor right off the bat, but thank you. That was great. That was,
It's all part of the service to you, Mr.
Yeah, I
Holm. It
appreciate
really, really
and
is.
not lost for a second on me.
And we're going to discuss for a little bit what the GG stands for. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to save that until we're a few drinks in because
Oh, boy.
there are some interesting opportunities. In
that
addition
door.
to Matthew, one of my favorite artists in the Minneapolis area, one of my favorite people, and one of my favorite co-hosts from time to time and guests from time to time is with us, none other than the lovely Bethany Reed Peterson. Bethany, welcome back.
Thank you, Gregory. It's good to be here on this special holiday episode of Drink in the Style.
It is. And
Yeah.
I believe, Matthew, you're going to be singing Sleigh Bells later, correct? You actually are a singer.
Oh, yeah, we didn't tell you that, but you're going to sing Sleigh Bells.
Sleigh bells.
Yeah.
Like in what style? Like,
I'm thinking reggae.
oh man.
It's not. I'll give you a little time to think about it.
That better be a good drink.
Well, that is a great intro. Well done. Top
Yeah.
notch. You've just totally directed us into the cocktail part of our program. Now, Bethany is normally a guest, of course. And of course, you've co-hosted like the Booze in the News show that we do from time to time.
The infamous Booze in the News
The
show.
infam-
Show. Haven't even had a drink yet. Can't even pronounce my
really good
words.
shoe.
Yes.
It's a really big shoe. Yes,
really big
indeed.
shoe.
Really big shoe.
Anyone
Yes.
who's 75 or older will know exactly what we're talking about, and they probably just died laughing, literally. Bethany, you are mixing a cocktail, and I know absolutely nothing about what you have in mind. So take it away. Tell us what
right.
we're doing.
So, okay, well, here's something. How am I going to hold this damned microphone and mix the drink?
Oh, that's a good question.
This is the fun part of the show. Oh, okay.
I should let our listeners know we are experimenting. We've been experimenting for a little bit with a new format. And currently we're recording in my office at the District Edina, which is a beautiful office. And we wanted to show it off. I didn't design it, so I can be proud of it without being arrogant.
It is
And
beautiful.
thank you.
It
And
is
we're going to try to create a program that's a little more cocktail party oriented than our traditional discussion show, or interview style show. So what I'm going to do, actually, because you just created a realization, which is that you do not have the ability to mix and hold a microphone. I'm going to stand here and I'm going to do like an interview type of a thing.
Oh, I
on the
like
radio.
this.
Nice.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
So what are we drinking?
All right. So we are drinking. You guys can actually help me name the drink.
This is something you
Because-
created?
Well, I mean, no, it's something that Pinterest created, but I think they just called it like a winter old fashioned. I'm like, we can do better
Oh boy,
Okay.
this will be
than a
fun.
winter old fashioned. So I know that Matthew loves bourbon. And I know that he loves old fashions. I know that
Good
I wanted to
man.
make a drink tonight where I was not worried about the cocktail shaker just exploding everywhere in your beautiful office. So I thought, let's keep it simple, shall we?
I like
So we're
simple.
doing
Simple
a
is good.
variation, a holiday-ish variation of an old fashioned.
Fantastic.
So-
I'll take your microphone
Alrighty,
and
thank you, sir.
I will hold it. Actually, I'll just hold it here and you can discuss.
All right. So we are doing for our old fashioned of sorts for this holiday season, we're doing 2 ounces of Dickel Rye, which I just discovered. It's delicious.
Are you familiar with the Dickel pickle?
No, I'm not.
The-
I'm not.
That could go either way.
That
I
could
know,
go
I
either
know, I
way.
know.
You know what? Let's get the rocks out first.
Okay, fair enough. But
All
while
right.
she's doing that very quickly, a Dickel pickle is a great hangover remedy. Specifically, it is half pickle brine, half Dickel rye. I know it sounds absolutely
Ooh.
terrible, especially on a Sunday morning at 11 a.m. But trust me, it is a really good remedy.
I would drink that.
I am glad to hear that. I'd be disappointed if you didn't. You don't look like a man who'd be frightened of pickles.
I like pickles, actually.
Do you know I was like 35 before I discovered that pickles were actually cucumbers?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, I swear to God,
I think I was like 34. So there you go.
you were an overachiever. Okay, how much?
Okay, well, this was stupid because I can't get these rocks in the glass. We'll start on this side. How about that? There we go.
All right.
2 ounces of Dickel Rye per drink.
Okay. Pouring in and Dickel
Pouring
rye
in.
again available anywhere. It's not a very expensive rye.
No, I
It's
think it's like what, like
30
20,
bucks
30
maybe.
bucks, 25. Okay, this is where it's going to get interesting for anyone who's watching on YouTube. You know the predicament. The rocks are not actually fitting into the glasses.
You got the big square ones and
Yeah. How are we going to
Yes.
do this, guys?
Can we just push it in?
Let's try it. Let's try it. Oh, I don't want to break your glasses.
That's okay.
We can try to scoot it around a bit. Maybe that'll help.
All
If I do
right.
it. There we go. I think we can do it.
See,
All
look
right.
at this immediate production issues,
I
but
know. This
I
is
have a
the fun
loyal-
bit.
I have a loyal listenership. They'll stick with us through
I have
this.
every faith in the world that this is going to turn out fantastic.
This is going to turn
Yeah.
out great.
Yeah.
Who needs a cocktail shaker when you can spin the rock in the rocks glass?
It's kind of an interesting
All right.
thought. It makes a nice sound too.
We'll try that out. Okay, let's keep
Okay.
going. 2 ounces of our Dickel Rye. Okay, so I'm going to start telling you about the simple syrup that's required for this. It's really easy. I was going to say it's really simple, but that's the point of it.
Agreed.
It's very
A simple
easy.
syrup.
You just make a rosemary tea. So you take fresh
Wow.
rosemary and you steep it for a few minutes.
You started out with a simple syrup, and now you've got rosemary in
Oh,
it.
shoot. This is getting all over your table,
Oh,
Greg.
that's
Sorry,
okay.
It's a good thing it's a glass top.
But okay, so start with rosemary.
Okay, so you take
infused.
fresh rosemary and you basically just kind of, I like to call it like a rosemary tea. You just basically boil it for about 5 minutes. We're not getting any drinks in this actual cocktail, Greg.
It's okay.
Oh my
it's gonna
God.
work.
When's Newkirk coming back?
Ladies, thank you for it's a coming attraction.
Ah, I love it.
Mhm.
So what you do is the rosemary, you infuse it for a little bit, like 5 minutes on a simmer.
Okay.
And then you do, so if you have a cup of that rosemary tea that you create, then you do a half a cup of sugar and half a cup of maple syrup to make your simple syrup.
Okay.
Okay, that
So-
is the
Man,
most complicated simple syrup I've ever heard,
It's
but
not,
it
it's, you
sounds
know.
amazing.
And then you do 3 bar spoons. And this might be a bit too much. We'll see. This is a pretty big bar spoon.
It is indeed,
1,
but
2, 3.
fabulous.
It's looking good. And then, so it seems like a lot, but actually, if you are hosting a holiday party and you've got total lush relatives that just need to have a cocktail, this is a good cocktail to serve them, my friend.
I'm very
then-
enthusiastic about this.
And then, I need to get my Angostura. And then that's pretty much it. We'll top this off with a little bit of fresh rosemary in the glass as a garnish.
Wow, this is fabulous.
Now, I should say too that the recipe actually calls for cinnamon sticks to go into the simple syrup, but I know a lot of people are either allergic to cinnamon or they don't like cinnamon, so I kept the cinnamon out.
What kind of Philistines are these? Who doesn't like cinnamon? Johnson, you're a cinnamon man, aren't you?
Do you like
I
cinnamon?
absolutely am. It's
Would
so
you
good,
like
yes.
would you like a
I'm
cinnamon
all
stick in
for
the
cinnamon,
glass?
but
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Did you come prepared?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll have a
Yeah.
cinnamon stick.
Okay, great. Excellent.
It's Matthew
gonna be hard-
GG.
It's going to be hard to say cinnamon in it, but
All right.
yes.
Where's the
Yeah,
cinnamon?
that's
a good
Oh,
point,
it's down
if
yes.
here.
there's cinnamon in it.
The
I'm in-
folks on
I'm into
YouTube
it.
enjoyed that slight moment. Hey, there you go.
We're back.
Sorry.
She's back. Hey, all right.
And the
so-
rosemary. Are you slapping the rosemary at all? Or you're just
No,
dropping
I'm
it
just
in?
dropping the rosemary in. It's just really meant to be a little garnish because you don't want to have like the floating rosemary bits all in the drink.
Winds up in your
Wow.
teeth, and suddenly that charming Christmas smile is.
Is
Yeah,
not so
a little piney.
charming.
No. It's Charlie, the
Ooh,
drunken
I'll
elf.
have this one because I just got. There we go. I'll do that one. So is everyone
Which is
doing
one of the
cinnamon
few
sticks?
claymations that isn't run on a regular basis. But Charlie the Drunken Elf was really one of the favorites in my house growing up.
Is he the cousin of the guy who wants to be a dentist?
Yes, that's Hermie.
Oh boy.
Charlie was the ne'er-do-well brother.
Yes.
Is everyone doing cinnamon sticks?
Yes.
Okay, great.
All right.
Excellent.
These are great looking
They
cocktails.
look great,
Yes.
and they'll look even better once the rocks actually melts a little bit. And next time. See, this is what happens when I don't bring my own cocktail jigger. Is that I use someone else's, and then it just all the booze goes everywhere.
I was. You
I'm
found
gonna
my
blame you,
jigger. You
Greg.
found my jigger wanting.
Yes, I did. Sorry, Greg.
That's literally one of the most insulting
When
things
in-
anyone has
When
ever
in doubt,
said to
blame
me.
someone else, guys.
Well, you're doing better than me.
God.
If they dare invite me back to do that, I'll be more
All
like
right,
the
I'll
Swedish
take this
chef.
one because it's
Okay, fabulous.
right.
So I'm going to take these two. I'll give
Okay.
one to Johnson,
all righty.
and then we're going to try the yet to be named but previously known
Oh,
as.
do we need coasters, gang? Oh, we have coasters. We have coasters here.
Johnson, you've got one here. All right. Well, that was an interesting part of the segment, actually, moving
Well,
around that way. All right.
All
So
right.
we don't have a name yet, but we're going to give it a sip,
Thank
and
you.
then we're
Oh,
going to
that's
come up with something right
gorgeous.
away. It does look good, doesn't it? My
All right.
God.
I think I'll keep my
That's-
career as a podcaster, gang.
Fair enough. All right. We'll have some swallowing music, and we'll give this a try. Salud.
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 Yeah, that's really good. Oh my God, that's really
Okay.
good. I
And
mean, it's
then-
so herbal. It's so complicated as a flavor. And yet, I mean, once you've created the special simple syrup,
Yes.
it's insane. All right.
It smells fantastic too.
Once again, I think you're going to wind up in this year's cocktail compendium, which we are in the process of putting together, as you were back in 2019.
That was a great compendium.
Wasn't
I
it a
thank
good
you again
compendium?
for it. That was a salud.
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 Yeah, no, that was fun. We did the rainwater, as I recall.
We did.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. That was a great drink. I still make that at home sometimes with the beet vodka.
Do you really?
Delish. Yeah.
Oh, that was good stuff.
Yeah. Good
All
stuff.
right. All right. So now we have our cocktails. We've begun the conversation. Everything is going to go beautifully from this point forward. Let's
What do you mean
start
from
with
this
one.
point forward?
Well, as soon as I'm drinking, I'm happy. Until then, it's basically just fluff until I get my cocktail. Assuming that I haven't been drinking all day, which would be an unwise assumption. All right, Matthew, let's
Yes, sir.
move to you, my friend. Now, you are, as I said, a Minneapolis-based artist. You have space in Minneapolis, correct? Where you're
I have a
creating?
new space in St. Paul.
Oh, really?
And, yep. And I was I don't know if the old space was St. Paul as well, but it's used to be in the Triangle building. Now I'm in the Northwestern or the Northern Warehouse building. I always get that mixed up, but it's
They
in
can
Lower
be
Town in St. Paul, and beautiful space.
fantastic. What's the most important part of the space to you? Why did you choose that? Is the lighting great? Is it energy?
Wow, that's a bullseye question because there is no perfect space, you know. I mean, and what's really great about this space is this one is very warm in comparison to what we had before. We had all white 20-foot ceilings, which definitely my favorite.
Mhm.
But gentrified out of our old space and then back to St. Paul's art space kind of got blown out of the water when they lost the Jack's building.
Mhm.
So it shot artists all over the city, and now we're kind of coming back to Lower Town again, and so now I'm back in Lower Town, and but the space it's an old warehouse, exposed brick,
Mm.
hardwood floors,
See, why
super
is
high
that
ceilings. They're
always
just
the
gorgeous.
best environment for artists? Every artist and every person, like I love that feel and that look. It's the old Chelsea
Yeah.
Yes.
reclamation of the
Yeah.
old warehouse spaces. But why? Why does that work for artists?
Well, I do know, even because science says that high ceilings help creativity and elevated thought.
Seriously?
I'm not kidding. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So the sense of openness above you does definitely give you a sense of I know for me that it does.
Mhm.
Maybe for someone who's not sensitive, or maybe it was someone who is, very mentally talented, doesn't need a higher ceiling, but
Mhm.
environment matters to me. It does for creation.
My friend, you're talking to a man who owns an interior design firm.
Yes.
Environment, I can say, is very important on every level, and I'll validate that thought. Bethany, you would agree, right?
I would totally agree. I was thinking too, and the name of the author escapes me now, but and of course now the name of the book escapes me now, but there's a book by a Japanese author that in part talks all about why high ceilings are actually, just like you're saying, Matthew, that
Yes.
they basically help to form creativity, and actually variations in height of ceilings I think helps as well.
Certainly.
Mhm.
Of course I'll remember the name of the book after we record.
It goes without saying.
goes
We'll
without
put it in
saying.
the post-production show notes.
Yeah,
Yes.
put it in the show notes, Greg.
Johnson, you got that?
Yeah, put it in the show notes.
Excellent.
I heard it from Gretchen Rubin
In the show
originally.
notes.
Anyway, so I wonder too, like, do you think part of it is that like an environment like a warehouse is less precious than
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So
than
that
something
too.
else?
Now, so yes. And so it's like I made reference to the Swedish Chef earlier about when
Yes, indeed.
like I am not a neat creator.
Okay.
And yes,
I'm just picturing you like looking like a human Jackson Pollock.
maybe my wife will slaughter me one day because I'll like something new that she gets me. I bring it home with paint. She hasn't slapped me yet, but it's coming.
Oh,
And
God.
So there's barely anything that I own that doesn't have paint on it, but yeah, not precious. I mean, that's even a creative technique. There are some people that literally will mess up their canvas or mess up their whatever just to have something to react to, because that blank, precious, unspoiled white space is
It's not right.
intimidating.
It is. I mean, then you've
it's-
got almost a limitation on what you can do. I mean, it's going to, nobody wants to make a complete and total mess out of something that's pristine and pure. I mean, that's not,
Yes.
I mean, if you've got the old environment, you can actually just go to town and what's going wrong. It's like when Gerber, so John Gerber, as we all know, our artist in residence, at first started coming in and he kept saying he didn't want to make a mess in the studio because it's right off of the lounge. And I'm
I
like,
can see that.
And I'm like, no, man, no, I wanted a mess. I want to see paint on the walls. I want to see paint on the floor, because that indicates creativity occurring here as opposed to curation. Agreed.
Agreed.
Wonderful.
Wholeheartedly.
So we know you're a slob. We know that you need all of these things.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your concept of art and what you're creating. Now, your artwork is, well, first, how do you describe it? I shouldn't try to put words in.
This is going to be a nightmare for you.
I'm ready.
And it's a nightmare for everyone. And this is, it's my strength and weakness at the same time, is my inability to focus, and I'm only into it if I'm interested.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So I can tell you that where I'm trained in printmaking. I'm trained in drawing the body, the human body, figure drawing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not where I ended up.
Okay.
I do very large scale abstract. Everyone has tried to put their own spin on abstract, but
well, by definition, it's abstract. How can you define something abstract?
Well, they do their best, and people,
it doesn't stop.
People want a category. They want to understand, and they want words. And if you wanted words, I would have been a writer.
That is a great point. What do you think?
Yeah.
A lot of people talk about they want a story behind the art, right?
Sure.
I mean, but there sometimes isn't. I mean, especially if it's, or is there? Do you have stories behind your work?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. I do, in that they come out of where I am at the moment. Okay. So they're it's not a memoir anyone could read, but it's certainly a bunch of tick marks of time. Each little creation becomes maybe just a telltale sign of where my head's at or my spirit's at
and when time. And when you see it, does it bring you back there?
Thank God, no.
See, that's a lot like me. I'm drinking heavily. I never have to go back to anything I did because I don't remember
it. So I'm not a past person. I'm the past I don't form memories hard. I don't focus on the past. It takes maybe I'm lucky because of the difficulty in trying to just be present and be coherent.
Yes.
That I need to be here now. But no, I do not go back. And sometimes it's startling. Sometimes really?
And it's just
where was I then?
Real. I mean, that's kind of interesting.
Wow.
It's almost like a journaling with limited ability to remember the moment. You're reading something that could almost be written by somebody else.
And a lot of it is just introduction to like I said, I can't be pinpointed. And if I grow bored of something, it's gone.
Where did you start? So stylistically, I cut you off before we describe the abstract. And again, it is difficult to describe. Bethany, though, you have known Matthew for quite a while, and you're an outside. It's hard sometimes to describe your own art, Matthew. So I'm going to kick it over to you. How would you describe Matthew's work?
Well, now that we've been talking about, you not being a past, someone who is fixated on the past, what I think is, now that I've can see your work, and yes, I would say it's very abstract. I would say that there's a little bit of a Pollock-esque aspect to your work. And on the Uber over here, we were talking about, just this sense of time and what I think is really interesting about your work is that if you're up close, because Matthew's work, some of these pieces are 6 feet tall, right? I mean, it's you can grab hold of the art, right? Figuratively speaking. What I love about it, 6 by 8, right? So what I love about it is, I personally can see the moment in time where you were actually applying the paint by the brush strokes or the spattering or whatever it is your technique is, and I'm probably butchering the technique here, so I don't, apologies if I am. But one of the things that I really love about Matthew's work is that you can see his process within the work. I think that's really fascinating.
So I am process heavy, and
Okay.
so in that takes some unpackaging. I have a very strange technique.
Okay.
It's not the only thing I do,
Okay.
but it is so I do a thing called acrylic lift, and I think it was born out of frustration. Probably most things are, but I'd be showing work. I'd be showing traditionally created work. Traditionally, meaning you're working on a substrate, you're adding something to that substrate. You can kind of tell the order in which things are being done. You can kind of tell the technique that's being used, and inevitably, you're showing in some public place, and the public is coming through, and the public has opinions, a lot of public opinions. And you can hear them, and if you don't take them too seriously, you can learn a lot. And my favorite is the guy coming with his girlfriend explaining all the art, like he knows it all. He was like, oh well, he just and he just kind of got anchored in my mind. Oh, he just and I'm like, is it maybe it is just. I mean, so I started to hide.
You should have crept up behind the guy and been like, well, actually, sir.
Well, I didn't hide behind
wasn't
them.
The
just
painting starts
anything.
speaking.
And
This
as far
painting
You're a
isn't
as
just
moron.
anything, sir.
those people are all still alive.
Fair enough. But it's one of the great things. Find a girlfriend who doesn't know anything about art, take her to an art gallery,
Yeah,
and just keep
it
talking.
sounds smart.
Right.
Sounds smart.
But
But-
go ahead. Sorry.
So anyway, what it ended up making, and I will try to make this. I mean, I've tried to describe this before, and I took the chance to jump into it this time. I don't like to give necessarily secrets away, but I have a very bizarre way of making very large canvases, and it's kind of like printmaking. It's kind of like wood cuts. It's kind of like I paint on a very large. Well, let's just call it plastic, but it is something. It's kind of an oil and water resist type thing. I paint on a big sheet of plastic.
Okay.
I make a huge sheet of paint that allows me to rip off paint, add paint, rip off paint, add paint.
Really?
That's really cool.
so
It is.
and then I attach this huge skin of paint to a substrate, and if it's good enough, it'll stay that way. If I'm not done, I'll splatter more paint on it.
There's no problem
I'm
that
not
more paint
satisfied,
can't fall.
If I'm still bored, if it stops talking to me,
It is. That is one of the things that that someone an artist once said to me was one of the hardest things to know when you're an artist is when you're done.
Yeah. And another thing is it takes two people to make a painting, one person to do it, the other person to tell you when to stop. Or
Really? I mean,
tell you when it's done.
But do you have that ability? I mean, who tells you to stop then? Is it one of the other personalities?
I don't let anyone tell me. And maybe that's a problem. that might be a problem. But overwork is. I mean, here's the. I know that the controlled brushstroke mastery of in creating creating something beautifully rendered that you can tell what it is. It is a skill. It's a beautiful thing. It's a traditional thing. It just bores the living daylights out of me.
Fair. Okay.
So in this day of imagery, that to get someone's attention is hard. It's hard.
It's
and
true.
to hold someone's attention even harder.
Well, and to talk about your art, which is a visual medium, in an auditorium.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
We're
It
doing right
is.
now.
We talked
right?
about
It
that
is
on
the
also
way
very
here.
difficult, I'm
It's-
sure.
How does one
Shots
paint
help.
a picture with? Agreed. By the way, we haven't had nearly enough quite yet. The
Jeez.
warm-up shots were nice,
Yes.
and Johnson and I did a pre-game show warm-up shot, which is delightful. Okay, so
This is a flippin' amazing,
It-
and this is coming home with me, and
It's-
I'm gonna make that.
this is a great drink, no question about it. So one of the things that you brought up, Bethany, you're right. It's hard to paint a picture. Folks are out there. They may not be driving. They may be at home, be by a computer. So as we're talking, what is the best way to see the work that you've created online?
So yeah, MatthewGGHome.com. That's MatthewGG Home HOLM.com, and that's probably the best way. Douglas Flanders and Associates. Little plug for Doug.
Mm-hmm.
He's my gallerist and great guy, and he's been in business 5 ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then any art crawl or anything like that, and I've been expanding into.
And you keep
Art
that
shows too.
updated on your site, correct? So people can
Mostly, the thing is that is every artist's. They say they do, but they're lying. They're so
We've already
lying.
established
They
that
are
you tend to be
lying,
messy.
and I
tend to be
I-
ADHD. And then I'm asking you if you're consistently
telling
updating
you.
your website.
I said to myself on the way here in my mind, and I didn't quite start the conversation with Bethany, but I am not going to lie, or I'm not going to polish anything. So
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, 'cause
Sink
that
or
makes great
swim.
radio if it's unpolished.
We like the unvarnished version.
No, we do.
because
We
the
do.
thing is, so like integrity, being real, everything. I mean, if you don't start there, man, it's hard to get back. So
Integrity once
Um,
lost is gone forever. I mean, it really, really is. When
That-
people know.
is coming home with me too.
Now ask me if I have any integrity. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
So
Well, only
here's
partially.
I think
Don't ask
you-
him.
So
There's only one answer.
I think he's fooling. I think he actually does have integrity. But
A sheep
Anyway.
in wolf's clothing.
Yeah.
Thank you
Oh,
very
boy.
much. But that is absolutely fantastic. I should also, again, Bethany is here. I should ask Bethany a quick question. So you are doing podcasting coaching still with your latest smash hit in the UK, correct?
Yeah.
Arrived Daily.
Arrive Daily.
How is that going?
Just broke top 100 podcasts in entrepreneurship in the UK, which I have to say, the show's been out like a week and a half. Like, I'm pretty excited about that.
God, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you can listen to it, of course, though, on Spotify and iTunes
Apple,
and stuff.
yeah, Apple Podcasts. We don't say iTunes now, Greg. We say Apple Podcasts.
do you see how much gray is in this beard? At least I'm not referring it to it as like,
I know.
is it on AM or FM radio?
I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, you can hear it now. It's out on the podcast airwaves. Anywhere you get your podcasts, anywhere fine podcasts are heard, you can hear it now. It's
But
in-
wait,
Truthfully, I can
if you
truthfully tell
subscribe today, Bethany will send you her signature in the mail for no particular reason.
I will. There you go.
Fair enough.
I've been following, and that is the truth. I've been following. She can tell you. She waves at me. I don't know how it happens. She pushes a button, and she doesn't even look.
Oh
down.
yeah, when
She
I do
just
my
goes, "Coon,"
Instagram
and-
lives, I
yeah.
always wave at Matthew.
And yeah, I will tell you, she is working her ass off.
Well, it's paying off. I mean, to the best of my knowledge, I'm not on any British charts. I mean, a couple of,
I know.
police records.
Wouldn't that be great
but
to
no
say?
charts.
It's like
Well, I didn't say
I'm
I don't
huge
have a
in Britain.
police record, Greg. I just said that I'm also on the charts in the
Well,
UK.
this says you're big with Interpol, so I don't know if that's
I'm huge with Interpol. That's a band, right? That's what somebody
yeah,
told
the
me.
band, right?
Uh-huh.
The band.
But it is. I mean, this is all a creative whole that we are talking about here. And it's based on the spoken word, it's based on visuals. So here's the question. This is all art that we're talking about here, plain
Yes.
and simple. But to you, Matthew, art is what specifically? We were talking a little bit about this before the show. Why is there
Wow,
art?
that
What
an
is art?
Awesome freaking question, man. Wow.
It's
Wow.
the cocktail.
That's the best question I've ever. What?
Johnson, keep
welcome.
replaying that for a little bit, will you?
Could be the new soundbite for your show.
Right?
Swearing soundbite. Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Forgive the dramatic pause. That's a huge question. Art is what you are compelled by your DNA to do. There's no one exempt. If there is any sort of creator, if there is anything, if they are made in that creator's image, you are then a creator. And I think that it's a scary adventure to put forth anything into the world that you end up showing to someone else and go, see what I did?
I love that you said your art is what you are compelled by your DNA to do.
So
That's amazing.
here's what's beautiful about that statement. This is why that was, in my mind, so utterly meaningful. In classical history, people found ways of limiting their egos by understanding that there were forces beyond reality, beyond themselves, that were coming and visiting this upon them. A muse, the most common, but the word genius referred to an extra body experience. I was visited by a genius.
Yes.
But the same is true of the DNA concept that you're talking about. It's not my creation, it's what I'm driven to do.
Right. So I do myself a favor by getting myself the hell out of the way.
Amen.
I think I read that book. I like Eat, Pray, Love, I think was the woman who, like, I don't know. I listen to books. I don't read them. I don't have time.
Yeah.
So I got to keep up with all you smart folks. And
I read the backs of
and
liquor
to be
bottles. What the
somewhat
hell are you talking about?
well, so you said that,
I'm impressed,
so
Greg.
to say
That's a lot of reading for you.
That's true. It's like a novel by the end of the year.
to say that a genius visits you, I mean, so
like
that
reading
is,
Proust.
so there's much where that came from. And the thing is our modern people like to think that they are a genius.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
No,
I tell you, you
no.
are not.
I mean,
You something in the air, in the timing, in the availability, in in the spark, something allowed you to be at the right place at the right time, to make a statement, mark, movement, whatever. And yes, these things are necessary. We're all evolving at the same time. If that spark doesn't hit you, it moves on to someone else. Someone else will, eventually.
And one could even say that, nothing comes automatically. You don't pop out of the womb with a paintbrush and the ability to create fabulous art. It takes work. It takes honing. You have to create the right environment for the muse, for the genius to visit you. And when it does, you have to be prepared.
And I'm just saying that anyone can do that. And that your interest will lead you to what you're compelled to create. Podcast, making someone else's house a freaking amazing.
I agree.
I heard a thing that I thought was magic is just anything that you've spent an unreasonable amount of time perfecting.
Preventing?
And I wish I could. Perfecting.
Perfecting. Okay.
Perfecting. And so, like, I look at Bethany and I'm like, that is an unreasonable amount of time to spend in your closet recording something. But thank you.
You're not
Thank
wrong.
you for
Matthew,
being
you're not
unreasonable.
wrong.
I appreciate the product and I appreciate so
the effort and work behind it.
Yeah.
100, and the commitment also to it. I mean, there's another, aspect. It's now very few artists that I know have been artists always. Most have, done something else and at some point felt comfortable enough to launch and say, this is what I am. This is what I'm creating.
Yeah.
Was that the case with you as well? And what was the point at which you made that
That is
decision?
interesting. And while you were saying that, I think that actually everyone was born an artist, and then someone,
How do you explain
maybe
accountants?
your kindergarten teacher, your first grade teacher, your mom, your mean dad, someone killed you. Someone said, oh, that's not that good. Someone critiqued you and it hurt, so you stopped creating.
Interesting.
Mm.
And you're talking about not just painting. You're talking about everyone is born with some kind of ability to enrich the world, which frankly is what I consider to be art.
Sure.
Art is any kind of enrichment
Sure.
of the world around us, whether it's meaningful, no matter how vast. But you're right. Somewhere.
It's applying your creativity to anything. This drink, masterpiece. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more. Cocktails are art.
Cocktails are art. Who wants another round?
I'm in.
Okay, good.
I'm absolutely in. So you're going to go mix one?
I'm gonna go mix.
For
You
those
guys
on the
keep
radio,
chatting.
I've raised my hand.
I know, right? Another round around.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Glorious.
Johnson's got responsibilities. But okay, so I love this concept of everyone's born an artist in some way. Different type of art. Again, could be verbal, could be
in any
written,
way. Sure.
could be design, could be what have you.
But even if we just were to talk about just what I do, I'm making visual
Mhm.
imagery. Kids are natural. They're like I'm looking at your piece that's right across from me. It's a
Yep.
black and white piece, obviously created very quickly with an enormous amount of energy.
Mhm.
It's you could even say it's childish. But
Mhm.
the boldness and everything of making those marks that are on this beautiful black and white thing in front of me,
Mhm.
they are without critique. They're almost automatic and that's what kids can do before they've been critiqued or graded or
Well, isn't that one of the
Yeah.
fundamental, complaints, or not complaints, but observations that people make about abstract art is my kid could do that. Now, of course, going without, no, your kid cannot do that. You just think he can because you don't understand what's happening.
You're right.
But it still is a matter of calling back to that basic human creativity. And
Your
being able
kid
to
can do that, but when it's time for that kid to make a living, he will have forgotten. So I don't know. I'm sure everyone says this about Picasso. He was, and I hate to even bring him up, but he said it took him forever to paint like a child again, and so what? I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't.
No, it's like
yes, to get loose again,
Mhm.
to get out of your own head again,
Mhm.
to get to go back to the garden when everything was innocent, and try doing that. That's fucking hard work. I'm sorry.
It's a great
hard
point.
work.
And I like to hear that defense of it because
Yeah.
it's absolutely true. And it makes sense. This particular piece, I think, is actually interesting because it's Japanese. It's a Gerber, actually, because I have in my office, I have two Gerbers. I have a
Is that his?
Rotunda, a Bob Hess.
That's
This is-
John's.
That's one of John's.
That's a smoking piece.
And that is one of the pieces. So John's favorite inspiration is Hokusai. Is that
the
correct
imperfection
pronunciation?
thing? Is
What's-
that please?
It's
teach me.
Chinese or Japanese artist who has a particular style of you see a lot of his waves and they're fascinating. His favorite quote is, Hokusai lived till he was 96, and they asked him when he became a great artist, and he said, "If I live another 100 years, maybe you'll say,
Yeah, right.
or I'll say I'm a great artist."
Excellent.
But it is the control. It is controlled chaos.
Yeah.
Thank you, dear. And that takes skill. It takes skill, not restraint. It's not suppressed. We're not talking about puritanical use, because yet, to the best of my knowledge, there were no great Puritan artists.
I bet. Because they didn't. Restraint takes a lot of energy, but
Is that a goody
is a
wind
creative
shoe?
energy.
That's a genuine goody wind shoe. But no, it is I mean, this is why I love talking to artists. A different concept associated with what you see and an understanding of what's within it. Johnson, we're raising a drink
Thank
to
you,
you,
Johnson.
even if you're not drinking. At
Oh,
this point.
Johnson, so
Holy mackerel.
responsible.
I
That
know I'm
is-
terrible. I wish yeah.
Some quality
That might
stuff.
be the best drink I've had, and I don't mean to say that, but I like old fashions anyway, but they can tend to be sweet.
Mm-hmm. And these are most definitely not. I mean, the simple syrup you're using, I mean, is it a lower sugar content than you'd have in a general?
No, it is the
It's just
ratio
more
is
infused.
is 1-to-1 water and your sugar. But it's funny because I actually was wondering if these were going to be a little bit too sweet.
Mm.
But I'm glad you enjoy them because
I'm enjoying
Yeah.
them, and I generally don't
do have a
enjoy
sweet
sweet
tooth.
that much. So you have once again opened new doors for me, dear. It's
Oh.
a fantastic experience.
well, good. I'm glad. I don't tend to be an old fashioned lover myself, but
Mhm.
I think it's just because I find them a bit almost like too simple because there are so many amazing cocktails out there now that I'm like, well, why
Sure.
would you do an old fashioned when you could do something a bit more, with
Yeah.
a bigger flourish? But I really liked this recipe that I found. I wish I could say that I could claim it, but
No, it's fantastic, and at some point we'll come up with a name for it.
yeah, we'll come up with a name for it.
Because it deserves to be monikered and it must be published. And I will make sure I do that for you.
Publish it then.
It must be published.
It must be published.
It must.
Fair enough. And as it happens, I'm looking for someone potentially to do the new cover, Matthew. So we'll talk about that at a later
Right on.
time as well.
With your
Gerber did
cocktail
the
compendium.
original.
Volume 2 or volume 3 now?
We were going to, this will just be volume 2
Volume
because
2.
we got hit by COVID in 2020. And as you recall, I did, what was it, Johnson, about 52 weeks of the best of drinking the style.
2021 was the lost year of drinking this stuff.
Oh.
It really was. It really, really was. So we didn't have a book, but we're going to put one together again this year, which is fabulous. Okay. I'm going to ask you, I hope that I'm not yelled at for this, but this is totally a different concept. Johnson, how much time do we have left, actually? We got 5 minutes? All right. We
Seriously?
actually,
Wow.
it has, as always, flown by insanely quickly and without
That's
breaks and drinking in
crazy.
between. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I know I've talked about this before, but as you're listening out there, send me an email, Greg at habitationdesign.com. Let me know what you think and other thoughts that you have on how to make this particular format work, because this is genuinely unique to the best of my knowledge. Bethany, you're in the biz. Do you know anybody doing a cocktail party-esque podcast of this
No.
kind?
No, I don't actually know anyone doing a cocktail party-esque podcast. I dig it. Clearly I've, liquored up, but I'm having a good time. I think it's a great concept, Greg. I'm going to email you tomorrow. Also, the fact that you just gave your email out
I did.
live is pretty disturbing to me, but sure.
Really?
Good luck with that.
Greg at
Hope you like fan mail.
habitationdesign.com. It can be found anywhere. Luckily, I have Jackie who's going to go through all my emails.
I had a Nigerian prince for you.
It's a great deal. I got like 3 of them. What are the odds? It's fabulous. Yeah.
3 of them.
I'm
Wow.
totally off the radio next week. Screw you all. I have like $17 million waiting for me on Tuesday. It only cost me $500.
Good luck with that. I
All
actually
right.
have my first framed check that was fraud.
Oh
or my
no.
first fraudulent check, of
Really?
where they overpay you like 10,000. I think I had a $7,000 painting or something. They sent a check for 17,000. Thank God for the internet, because I was like, wow, 17,000. I'll never have to work again. Anyway, fraudulent and framed.
I have a picture of myself and a Nigerian parent sitting
Yes,
together
yes.
doing a shot.
Thanks for
He's laughing hysterically. I don't know
them
why. He really
keeping
found
us
me
in the real
entertaining.
world.
All right. So we only got a minute or 2 left. And here's what I'm going to hit you with one last question. We've already
Yes, sir.
talked about where to see your work. We've already talked a little bit about your website, etc. Here's my final big question. Are you ready?
I hope so. That last one was huge. That took a lot of mental
What
effort.
is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? No. What do you
European or African?
Outstanding. No, here it is. The fundamental question. I'm pulling this out of the top of my head, so don't expect
Okay,
something
I'm
too
ready.
enormously deep.
I
Are you
hope
ready?
so. I hope it's
You ready? If you had only one piece left to paint,
Oh.
what would you come up with?
Greg, that's mean.
Wow.
You don't think
Oh,
that's a really
goodness.
good question?
It's a
I
great
think I
question.
nailed it on that.
You nailed it. It's mean.
It is mean, but you know what? I've been
Answer
into
it,
mortality
Matthew,
these
answer it.
days. I know.
Wow.
I know. Just stew on that for once.
Gregory.
Is it good?
But there's a world of
Jeez.
opportunity because you can paint anything you want.
You are a sage. Jeez.
I'm a drunken sage.
I
baby.
love
it.
Which, by the way, is pronounced sage. when you're
Sage?
drinking it up. Or shage.
Shade.
I'm I'm huge in Europe and I'm a sage.
I'm gigantic behind the Iron Curtain.
Because my first love is the human figure, and unfortunately, it is hard as a male human being to respectfully do the female figure and the male figure in any as it is so artful, and I don't know if it's our own time that we're living in. Maybe we're just beginners, where we're at right now, but and not evolved. But man, the human figure is so incredibly expressive. To do something that could hold someone's interest over time, as that is the subject matter, I would.
The human figure is what it comes down to. In the end, that's what you would like to leave
in some
this place
fashion.
presenting. And it is true, because honestly, can you think of anything more beautiful than the human figure? Honestly,
No.
speaking to our souls, being driven to connect with one another means that the human figure, the human body, is the paramount.
And it's a call to creativity again. I mean, creating more of you.
Agreed.
Creating more of us. Creating, it's.
That makes me actually really happy to hear, because the first piece I've bought from you is indeed the human figure.
It is.
And it spoke to me. And there was a story with that we could have talked about as well, of it going from one person or another person of interest here and there. But it is, in my opinion, quintessentially you.
Nice. Thank you.
All right. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. We have drunk our way through yet another podcast radio show. And again, this special, very special episode of Drink in the Style. If we could do like a little bubble inside to put our faces, that would totally nail it. But
Nice.
thank you very much. So on behalf of Habitation Design, the District Edina, Matthew GG Home, and the GG stands for Great Guy. Which I think your parents were really foresighted in that.
Yeah, I hope so.
Something like that. Or Guggenheim, go get them. Anyway, on behalf of
That's a
you,
good one.
Matthew, on behalf of Bethany Reed Peterson and her
Yay.
podcast,
Arrived daily.
AM 950, and myself, Gregory Rich, I would like to wish everybody good luck this coming week. And I'm going to throw out a very simple but always true quote: in vito veritas. If you don't know what it means, look it up, because it's pure truth. Good night, everybody.
Very nice.
Fantastic. What do we think?
Mic drop.
Right. Bye. Was it?
Yeah.
I know, Johnson.
I guess you gotta drive.
Johnson has to drive. What do you think, Matthew? You're amazing.
Isn't he a great host? He's really wonderful.
You are socially talented.